This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Silent Witness, the podcast that dives into true crime and cold case files. Hosted by Christina.
Hello, hello.
And Erica. Hello. So
I like your hand motions there.
I know. This is the true story of why I don't like to do video.
She's practicing for our live event.
For tonight.
Yes.
Yeah. So we are diving back into Elizabeth Bettis. You know, I know a lady named that. Anyway, we're diving back into her story, early 80s. I'm sure you're going to set the scene, but let's talk about Elizabeth.
Yeah, let's review.
See if we can trigger some memories here.
Let's review last week's episode.
Yeah,
y'all go listen. Come on now.
They already did. Y'all are good.
We need some listeners.
We need some sharing.
Yes.
Share. Okay.
Ruth Elizabeth Bettis. Bettis. I think I'm saying that right. It was a 19-year-old, beautiful, smart, ambitious 19-year-old young woman. She was a dancer at a gentleman's club in North Austin. Sugar. Yeah.
Okay.
Again, conflicting reports if she was in college or was still a student. I'm not sure. Some sources said she was still in college. Some said she put her education on hold.
Right. Okay.
But regardless, it's all agreed she worked at this club. She was leaving her shift around 7:45 on November 24th, 1982. Witnesses saw her speaking with a black male who a few seconds later jumped into the passenger side of her Volkswagen Beetle.
Okay.
The next day was Thanksgiving Day, and two teens found a body in a rural area off Sprinkle Cutoff Road, which is about 7 miles from the club in North Austin.
Okay.
Her car was also found, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that.
Did we talk about that last week?
No, I don't think so.
Was her car found in that same field?
In the same area, yeah.
Okay.
Elizabeth's body was partially clothed. She had been shot, strangled, and sexually assaulted. Her vehicle, again, was found nearby. So let's talk about the investigation, suspects, and if this case can be solved.
Of course it can be solved, because the lovely
can be.
people listening are going to remember something.
Of course.
Okay.
Okay, so let's talk about police begin their investigation with the vehicle.
Okay, yeah, what'd they find?
No evidence. They found nothing.
Super helpful.
It likely
really?
Yeah. I know. Well,
That's so frustrating.
Funny. I know. It likely was wiped clean. The only thing of note were some dog hairs. Elizabeth did have a dog. She adopted a dog. And so, of course, naturally, the dog would have been in the car. So that's the only thing they found were some dog hairs.
Okay.
It should be noted that she didn't work at the club very long, only a few months by this time.
Okay. So it's still pretty new.
Yeah. So let's talk about any suspects or further investigation. So there was a maintenance worker, Leonard Williams. He was a career criminal, and he became a viable suspect because he was a serial rapist who was known to take his victims to the same remote area Elizabeth was found.
Oh, look at that.
Okay. So specifically, he was arrested for sexual assault. And so, no, in Texas, rape is not a crime.
I'm sorry, what?
Rape in Texas is not a crime.
Mother trucker.
It's called sexual assault. It's the same thing.
You're saying it's just, that's not what it's called.
Yeah. So even though he was a raper, he was arrested for sexual assault because that's the name of the crime in Texas.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, excuse me.
Yeah.
I'll be back. I need to make some phone calls.
So this victim, this particular victim that he was arrested for was abducted at knife point. He was, he forced her to drive.
Excuse me. Okay. Oh, so very similar. Like similar to what could have happened to Elizabeth.
Maybe.
Oh.
We'll see.
That means you're holding something back.
No, I'm going to tell you in a minute.
That means you're holding it back right now?
Right,
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. And he forced her to drive, I think, to that area, that Sprinkle Cutoff Road.
Okay.
However, Mr. Leonard Williams did not kill his victims. So he
okay.
raped them and then took them back to where he got them.
Okay.
Additionally, Williams used a knife to control his victims. Elizabeth did not have any knife wounds. And after an extensive investigation, he was pretty much ruled out, even though he still could be a suspect at this point, but he was ruled out. So,
because it doesn't fit his typical MO.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So they're like, yeah, you still suck. And
I mean, you're still a raper, but, for now, we're going to look at other people.
okay.
So there was another gentleman called Louis Sonny Wan.
Okay.
He was also a suspect. His in-laws owned the land Elizabeth was found on and had a mutual acquaintance of Elizabeth because he was a customer at Elizabeth's grandfather's appliance store. So Elizabeth's grandparents owned an appliance store and he was a customer.
And so the only other tie is that his in-laws own the land.
Right.
So he's married.
Mm-hmm.
Or something.
Oh,
Wow.
maybe.
Some in-laws.
It says,
okay.
Yeah. Also of note, he was, so what happened was he was a witness later on, years later, in a murder trial.
Oh.
And during that trial, he was just a witness. He wasn't on trial.
Right.
And the defense was trying to discredit him by making him Elizabeth's
bad.
murderer.
Oh, so they were implying that he did it,
Mm-hmm.
even though he was not was he ever arrested for it or charged
No.
with anything? He was just interviewed as a suspect.
Yeah.
That's some pretty shitty lawyering.
Well, that's what lawyers do is they want to discredit witnesses for a jury.
Yeah, at least use facts. Gross.
But, I mean, believe me, I've testified in so many cases and I have been called every name in the book. That's what they do.
That's gross.
It is, but
Ugh.
it's allowed.
Dumb.
And that's what they
disagree.
I agree, but believe me. Yeah,
okay.
but also he did not match the description of the man last seen with Elizabeth. One was a short white guy.
Yeah.
So,
but we still don't know what the guy that she was last seen with, we still don't know. Or you might. I have no clue.
Although he was never charged, he still remains on the list. They're still not going to completely rule somebody out at this point, even though they doubt he did it.
But that was the only. Okay, so back up because I think my brain checked out for a quick second. The only reason they interviewed him was his connection to the land, or did you say what?
The murder trial?
No. I know. Why was he connected to Elizabeth?
Because his in-laws owned the land that she was found on.
That's what I'm saying. That was the only connection. He didn't know
He was
her.
a customer at the appliance store.
Right.
I don't even know that he knew Elizabeth.
And he didn't go to Sugars or anything like that.
Not that I could
they
find.
said. Okay.
Not that I could find.
I'm just like, that's such a stretch.
Well,
but I mean,
you got to look at everything.
Yeah.
I mean, why is this lawyer bringing it up? Maybe he knows something. Who knows?
They don't know shiz. They're trying to get their client.
I think what happened is that the lawyer found this information out, the land, and coincidence, we're going to rip him up on the stand to save my client. Because he was a defense attorney, and that's what defense attorneys do.
Gross.
Okay. So remember I had mentioned that her car was likely wiped clean because nothing was found?
Oh, no.
So let's
I do know you said nothing was found.
Well, no, I said it was wiped clean.
Okay.
It was clean. And
like it was clean, like not normal.
No. There was no fingerprints. There was nothing on it. And you
like
would
not
expect.
Even hers.
Yeah. So likely the theory is it was wiped clean.
That makes sense.
So.
Just the dog.
But also, too, back then, the fingerprint lifting, the fingerprint technology was not what it is today.
Okay.
So who knows? Okay. But let's talk about that.
Okay.
And let's talk about why. That car was nothing was really found in it. Because a tip was given to police that 2 off-duty APD officers, which is Austin Police Department officers, were discovered to have been in the company of Elizabeth. Now, cops do hang out at these gentlemen club.
Sure.
They do.
Mm-hmm.
And they likely met her there. That's probably, that's where they were in company with her, was there.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So then they went to the club and people were like, well, they know her. Like, what's the connection other than that?
Well, they received a tip.
Right.
That they were with Elizabeth. I'm not sure if it was that day. I would assume it would have been that night.
Okay. That's why I'm like, what's the point
I'm
of the tip?
And again, I'm assuming.
But we do like all tips. So if you have any, call
Yeah.
Crime Stoppers or Travis County Sheriff.
Yeah. But
I just don't understand.
and
this
again,
one.
you know, the cops, they hang out at these places just
Yeah.
like Joe Blow family man does.
That's why I'm like, what's the big deal? I don't understand. Okay.
well, you
Tell
will.
me.
You
I'm
will.
gonna.
So it was, you know, it was definitely a different time. So of course, both denied being at the club at first.
Stupid.
So let's continue on. One of the officers was seen sitting with Elizabeth the night of the murder.
Ah, now it makes more sense.
Yes.
Okay.
So while the other cop showed up a little bit later.
Okay.
Okay. The officers again denied being there at the club.
Stupid. Are either of them tall black men?
We will.
I'm getting ahead of you again.
Yeah.
This you must hate telling stories with me next to you.
No,
Like, I have it
no,
written
no.
out, Erica. Just
Because
flip it.
because that's what listeners are probably saying.
Yeah, that's
You're
my
the
job.
listener.
I am.
Okay.
Okay.
So now, by this time, the cops were being investigated, and the main cop left the force. So let me tell you
Ooh.
why.
Interesting.
Because there was an internal investigation of this cop being involved in a sexual assault of a 3-year-old child
Oh,
and the child's mother.
ew!
Once this came to light,
Cut it off.
the officer resigned. It was
I
an
have
investigation.
zero
We
tolerance.
don't. Everybody's innocent until proven
Nope.
guilty. He was never proven guilty of this, that I know of. But he did resign.
Mm-hmm.
So it's unclear what became. Well, what happened was once he resigned, Internal Affairs can't investigate him because he's no longer a cop.
A cop, yeah.
So, but it is unclear what happened with the investigation.
Did he go on to be a cop anywhere else? Do you know?
I don't
Did
know.
it show it?
I don't know.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Freaking hope not.
But he also refused to provide a polygraph regarding Elizabeth.
Mm-mm. Bad apple.
Mhm.
Bad apple.
So,
I'm glad he's gone. Get out.
well,
We need the good cops.
anyway,
Bad
yeah, of
apples,
course.
get out.
Well, and there's always bad apples for sure. But now let's look at the second cop. He is still employed and was cooperative. However, we are unsure what was said or what was done with him and his role or anything. So
Okay.
that is unclear. Police have not disclosed that. They may know. I mean, they probably do know, but we don't.
But they're not sharing.
Right.
Okay.
So let's look at this. Elizabeth did have cocaine in her system.
Okay.
Maybe they were covering that up.
Maybe.
You know, cops did cocaine.
Yeah.
They do. They did drugs. I mean, there's bad cops out there.
Yep.
Maybe they were covering that part up. Maybe they gave her some cocaine and said, "Hey, go with us. We'll do a little toot, a little nose candy,
Okay.
a little snow." Using all the slang.
I'm like, look at you.
I know.
Pulling out your
Listen, I'm
80s
in the
slang.
field. I know all the slang. Yeah.
What's toot? I haven't heard
Toot?
of that.
Well, that's an older term, but
Toot.
let's toot up some white snow,
Oh my gosh.
some nose candy.
Lawbreaker.
That's right.
No, it's not right. Okay.
Um,
So essentially, she had drugs in her system. These cops may have just been denying knowing her because of that. Like they don't want like
well, maybe they
their-
gave
their
it
drug use to be
right.
common knowledge.
And again, 80s was known for cocaine. That everybody did cocaine.
It was prevalent.
It was, yeah. I mean, everybody from the Wall Street to the mayor of DC to
Excuse me.
Oh,
Oh,
that may have
gosh.
been later.
That
was crack.
No, I'm just saying.
Crack is whack.
Crack is whack.
Now,
Just say no. That's when this was born in the 80s. Just say no to drugs.
yes, thank you, Nancy Reagan.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now, it should be noted that the witnesses did provide a sketch of the black male seen by witnesses getting in Elizabeth's car the night of the murder.
Okay.
Main cop did resemble that sketch.
That's why I like these. Okay.
And maybe that's why nothing was found in
So
the car.
he was a tall black. Yeah, I mean, cops would know to wipe it down.
100%.
And he's the one who resigned?
Yes. The
Interesting.
Mhm.
Sir.
The case
Just
got
come
cold,
forward.
shortly after that.
There was nothing else. Nothing else came up in the investigation. No other witnesses. Wow.
There's a little bit more, but
Nothing substantial.
nothing that they've reported. I
Oh.
mean, the police aren't going to tell everything about a case. They got to keep something,
Sure. Hush, hush.
But
Tricky.
One thing of note, according to one of the articles, of the suspects the police looked at, 2, I don't know who, were ruled out based on ballistics and other evidence that ruled them out. I don't know who I don't know if they're ones we mentioned or ones we haven't mentioned.
Oh, okay. You just know that 2 suspects, whoever they may be,
Yes.
were completely ruled out.
Right.
Okay.
And then police did interview over 200 people.
Okay.
So,
Good job.
So let's move ahead a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
In 2007, technology's better. The
Mhm.
DA in Travis County did send off evidence for further testing using
cool.
new and advanced technology.
Good job, DA.
Fingerprints, maybe, were test DNA, and so forth. So,
Okay.
nothing was found. Everything that was there was supposed to be there. So meaning that it was maybe they found
Like
a
the dog
fingerprint. The dog, maybe the fingerprint was a cop that was investigating. It was
Tricky.
It
was
whatever they
expected.
found wasn't nefarious.
Okay. It was expected. It was explainable.
It was somebody on the scene investigating or whatever.
Okay. Well, that's disappointing.
And of course,
Womp
like
womp.
we've mentioned back in the 80s, we didn't have DNA.
Mm-mm.
Fingerprint lifting wasn't as
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was all like dusting powder with tape.
Sure. There was no
wasn't-
like scanning it.
Yeah,
And pulling up.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Chemical stuff. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's the technical term.
But the
Chemical
case does
stuff.
remain active today.
Good.
I am unsure about semen. If any semen was found, DNA evidence was found inside of her.
Okay.
They, have said she was sexually assaulted, but
Mhm.
I don't know. I have not been able to find if anything was found in her.
A 22. That's a random caliber to be carrying around. Like I'm still on Austin PD. Like that's not what they would.
No, Austin
not what they
PD
would
wouldn't,
have.
but they,
9,
knows?
380, 45.
yeah. So anyway,
Right. Something with a little more punch.
yeah, Glocks is usually what they carry. But so I'm not sure about any DNA that would have been inside of Elizabeth's body.
Okay. And if there was any, you're saying it's like under lock and key. They're not sharing that
Right.
information.
And hopefully there was, and hopefully they can get that information, and hopefully they can use Ancestry. And
You'd think they'd at least go check it if they had it. They'd at least go check it against whatever, the dude who owned the land, the cop.
if they have DNA
Right.
for that.
If that's what I'm saying, if they had it.
Yeah, because you can't just go get, hey, I need your DNA right now to test against this.
They would
They
need
can't
some
do that.
reason.
Yeah, and a warrant.
Well, they have enough reason for the cop, don't they? I mean, he was with her the night
We
of,
don't know. Just
matches the. I mean, I hate that composite sketch stuff though.
yeah, we don't know just because that information is police. You know what I mean?
Boo. Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
looking at the case,
Yes.
Elizabeth was leaving her job
Okay.
on a cold night in November. Black
Day
male was
before
seen speaking
Thanksgiving.
with her. They drove off.
Okay.
So, did Elizabeth just give a ride to a stranger?
Maybe.
Did she know the male? Was
Maybe.
this a customer, a friend?
Was
we
this
don't know.
that cop?
Well, was it a cop? But what we do know is that a very young woman was murdered for no reason.
19. Ugh.
Her life was cut short. She can never finish her education, get married, have children, have grandchildren.
I wonder how her dad feels.
Well, I'll tell you.
Oh gosh, I would be like my fault for living in Austin. You know, like if I didn't move here, maybe this wouldn't. Oh, so sad.
So Elizabeth's sister is still alive.
Okay.
I'm unsure about her mom, Rebecca. As of 2023, she was alive, Rebecca,
Okay.
and she was still in Connecticut.
Okay.
However, her father, Dale, died in 1989.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. He never got to
Young.
see justice for his daughter,
Mm.
so he died shortly after she did.
Okay.
Her mother and sister still think of her daily.
Yeah.
One article I read said that Elizabeth was buried across the street from her mother's residence in Connecticut.
Aw.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
heart-wrenching.
I read Dale. They had a write up of Dale
Okay.
on the UT website. You
Oh, yeah,
it's kind of like an
his bio.
obituary. It was kind of like an obituary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so a lot of the information about him. He did so much research and so with it listed it, and I was going to put it in here, but I had no clue what it was talking about.
Okay.
With astronomy and math and my head
Yeah.
was spinning.
Very cool.
Yeah, so he was very, very accomplished professor. But, they want the family, especially sister, mom, want to see justice.
Yeah.
It's been 42 years. She would have been 61 this year. At the time, she was 19. She was tall, thin, long brown hair. And, she was found in a field in Austin. Someone knows something. So let me explain something.
Okay.
Likely, someone either followed in a vehicle or picked the killer up.
Right.
Because the car was still there.
Right.
Maybe it was two people and they followed. Maybe he called and said, hey, come get me. Because
but what was he going to use to call? They're out in a rural area. There were no cell
somebody
phones.
probably followed. Yeah, you're right. So I don't know.
I was just thinking
maybe he walked back.
Maybe
you were driving that night and you saw somebody walking on the side of the street. Yeah. There may be more than one person and somebody else drove out there and, we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But again, he could have walked back to town. Somebody would have picked him up. The killer had to have told somebody something. His wife, girlfriend, even his partner, boyfriend, wife, girlfriend, whatever. Because likely what he would say is, he'd be angry. I did it once. I got away with it and I'll do it again. And that's used to control somebody. So, if you had a spouse back then saying that to you, you better
pay attention
and call, because likely now they're not with that person, because that's used to control others.
Right. But it's also a big jump to assume that they would say that. They could.
No.
Yeah.
I've heard people say, I could kill you and get away with it.
Yeah. But I also think if it is that cop, why would you don't want to, he would be smarter, hopefully, and wouldn't bring it up. Your face.
No, obviously not. If he's
sexually
assaulting a 3-year-old.
He got away with it.
Yeah.
And he got away with that if he did that. So.
Well, we don't know who he got away with that.
Why? Because we don't know if he did it.
Are you talking about the sexual assault?
Yeah.
We don't know what became of that investigation.
Story beyond that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But that is not far-fetched for a guy to say that. Maybe he was drunk. Maybe, and I have heard that from people, I could kill you and I'd get away with it. So it's not that far to think that, I've killed, I can do it again. If I got away with it once, I can do it again. Mm-hmm. Or he was drunk.
Or he was coked out of his mind.
Right. He could have been drunk and he could have been telling somebody, I got to tell you something.
Yep.
Confession, because confession's good for the soul, right?
Or one of those creepy regulars at a bar and it came out one night. Ooh.
Right. 100%. But somebody knows something. Mm-hmm. So you cannot let this raper, murderer go free. He has been free for 42 years and it's time he pays.
Absolutely.
Why does this disgusting person who took
get to live
and Elizabeth didn't?
Mm-hmm.
It's beyond me. If you know something, I just get so upset because this creep, this disgusting pig gets to walk around and live his life and Elizabeth doesn't.
For over 4 decades.
Yeah.
Could have had a wonderful life. I hope you didn't. I have zero tolerance for pedophiles.
But let's give this family and Elizabeth some justice.
Absolutely.
There is a reward in this case, y'all.
Okay.
I believe it could be more, but I believe last I looked, it was $6,000. Okay. So if you have any information, no matter how small, did you see somebody walking out of near that street?
Yep.
That night.
Did you work at Sugar's? Are there rumors among the other dancers, the people that worked there?
One thing I've learned doing all of this, especially when I do get to talk to victims' families, they know who did it. Mm-hmm. And if the family knows, other people know.
Right.
So, they know. Police likely know. It's just a matter of getting that one tip in, y'all. That one tip.
That one thing that'll help them finish out the case.
Right. Stop letting this raper go free. Come on now. No matter how small it is, call. We're trying to get this case solved. Ruth Elizabeth Bettis, please call Travis County Sheriff. 512-854-1444 or Crime Stoppers anonymously. You can leave an anonymous. They're not going to know. And you can still get the reward.
Right.
512-472-8477.
Very good. So if you know anything, any tidbit, if you're around that time, if you used to go to Sugars, if you knew her through school, if you heard any rumors, give them a call. Travis County Sheriff.
Yeah, even a rumor, just call.
Yep. Whatever. Like they're clearly, the DA just a few years ago sent evidence out. So they're still trying to get this solved. It is a cold case that they would like to solve. And I'm sure you would like to help them. Just call. You can be anonymous. It's not a big, it's no skin off your back. Like, just get it done.
Yeah, and he deserves, whoever the murderer is, deserves to go to prison.
Mm-hmm. And even on the off chance he's deceased,
it's been
40-something years. Her family still deserves to know.
Right.
They still deserve an end to that story.
Yeah, even again, in many of these cases, I was looking at some solved cases on the Rangers website, and a lot of them were deceased, but they're closed now. So they can stop focusing all their attention on this case, close it. Family gets peace. Elizabeth gets justice, but we know he'll be, even if he's dead.
Yeah. And then the Rangers can shift focus to cases that are still open. Yeah, absolutely. All right, y'all. This is it. If you know anything, if you think you know anybody who worked in town, lived in Georgetown, any of that back then in early 80s, mid 80s, share this with them. Let them listen to it. Get it out there. People can hear it so we can get some tips back in to Crime Stoppers or to Travis County Sheriff. And let's get some justice for Elizabeth.
Yes. And follow us, please. We'll have pictures of the composite. Maybe it'll trigger something. But follow us on all our social medias. Silent Witness TX.
All right. Thank you for listening, everybody.
Bye.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production. Are you a podcaster? Let's talk podcast hosting. Are you tired of your current podcast host? Need real support in a community that gets it? At Rogue Media Network, we offer top-tier podcast hosting services to help you thrive. From hosting and distribution to dedicated support, we've got you covered. Starting as low as $25 a month. Join our community of passionate podcasters today. Contact us at hello@roguemedianetwork.com.